Hello, my name is Mr. Marsh. I have created this video series to explain everything you need to know in chemistry, and even better than that, I'm going to make you understand it. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to perhaps a way of thinking which might be new to you. It's such a powerful way of thinking that once you start to think in this way, I can guarantee that the rest of the chemistry you study will start to make more sense. I'm going to teach you how to think in this way using this plant. Are you ready? Look at my plant and think about what it's made of. Now imagine everything around me as far as your mind will let you imagine. Then try to think about what's around you at the moment. Now try to imagine everything in the whole world. Then try to imagine the moon and the stars. Now try to imagine everything in the whole universe. Yup, everything. Okay? Done it? Well done. You can stop thinking about the whole universe now and just think about my plant. It is in our universe, right? You agree? Of course you do. You are there in the universe, and I am here, and so is this plant. We are all sitting in this universe. I am going to give you a way of thinking about this plant, and you, and everything around you. Are you ready for this new idea? Everything that this plant is made from has always been here. Just let that sink in for a moment. Have a think about what I just said. Everything that this plant is made from has always existed. It's always been here. And that goes for you too. And me. And the whole universe. What we scientists call matter has always been here. You don't need to worry about where it came from or how it was made. I just need you to take my idea and now think of everything in the whole universe. Now, if you think hard about this idea, you can see a problem with it straight away, can't you? How can anything grow or change? For example, this plant. How can it grow new parts, like new leaves and roots, and turn itself into a great big tree? If everything that is here has always been here, then where do the new parts of a living thing come from? So let's look at the problem and I'll tell you how we solve it. Let's take a stick. It came from a tree and I'm going to cut it in half. So I end up with two smaller pieces of stick. If you cut it in half again, you get a smaller piece. If you cut the stick in half again, and in half again, we end up with tiny pieces of stick. They are all made up of the original stick, so the stick must have been made up of all of these parts here, right? These pieces are all made of matter. So how far can I keep cutting it up? We either say that the stick can be cut up forever, or we say that we will end up with pieces of stick so small that even I could not cut them up anymore, even with the sharpest knife in the world. Those tiny pieces of matter are what the whole stick is made up from. Tiny pieces of matter joined together to make the stick we started with. This idea is not new. It was originally thought of by a Greek philosopher called Democritus. When he was talking about cutting up a stick, he would have used the Greek word tomos, which means to cut up. Now, if something is so small and tiny that it cannot be cut up, even with the sharpest knife in the world, Democritus would have said in Greek that the tiny pieces of the stick were now uncuttable, or in Greek, atomos, which literally means uncuttable. Well, in fact, everything in the world, this stick, my plant, you, me, all matter. are made up of tiny, uncuttable pieces. Democritus called these tiny, uncuttable pieces atoms, and the phrase atomos is where we get the word atom from. So everything, and I mean everything, jam, hamsters, radiators, windows, your shirt, shoes, laces, the floor, sun, moon, stars, galaxies, your cat, everything is made up of tiny, tiny parts which are too small to see, even with the most powerful optical microscopes in the world, and we call those tiny things atoms. Atoms combine with each other to form all the different substances in the world, and is what the subject of chemistry is all about. Atoms. So, if atoms come together to make up everything like this plant, by thinking of the atoms that this plant is made up of, we can explain how stuff grows. In fact, we can explain how any substance changes. If a plant grows, it must be taking atoms from around itself. In this case, the atoms in the air through the leaves, and the atoms from the ground using its roots, and then assembling them together to make new parts like its leaves. The atoms would always have been here in the world, it's just the tree is putting them together in the form of a leaf, or a branch, or the roots. How amazing is that? So that means that everything that is ever changing or growing is taking these tiny parts called atoms from different places like food, or in this plant's case, the air and the ground, and then combining them in a different way to make up its body. So you really are what you eat, literally. So let's recap what we've learnt about the most amazing of ideas in chemistry. All matter in the universe has always been here, even the matter that you are made from. All matter is made up of tiny, tiny, uncuttable parts we call atoms. These tiny atoms can combine together to make everything in the whole universe. So you are made up of atoms, and so is the Earth, and the moon, and the chair you are sitting on, and the air you are breathing. Everything. All matter. You see, atoms never get destroyed. Atoms in the universe just get moved around to make new things. So if something grows or changes in any way, it is because the atoms it is made up of have joined to other atoms, or the atoms it is made up of have gone somewhere else. So just before we finish, I would like you to think about this question. If we have proved that atoms exist, and we have, what do you think they're made up of? We will find out the answer to that in the next video from me, Mr. Marsh. Thank you for watching.